What up?
What up?
This is our first episode of Baywaves.
We've been talking about this for like 13 years, and this is our first one.
We did talk about it for a while, and
Yeah.
we went through a million iterations of names.
Oh my gosh.
There were some bad ones in there.
There were some ones that I was like, I'm embarrassed to even write this down and
Do you remember
share
what they
with
are?
you. There was some like heckle and clap.
Yeah, that's not good.
It would be
That's
like,
for people that are funny that have the clap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that have the clap.
Heckle and clap?
Heckle and clap.
Was that an AI generated one, or is that you?
No, I was just like thinking of like, ooh, what happens at a comedy show? Like people clap, people heckle. Oh, they're kind of like, polar opposites of each other. But you're right, it does sound like we are interviewing people that have diseases, which actually could be a great podcast.
That would actually be a
if
good
we
podcast.
want to scrap this whole idea and then move to that one.
Or we reveal to the people we interview that they have one.
Oh, like Maury, like
Like
Jerry
Maury,
Springer,
yeah.
like style, like
Yeah.
And you do have chlamydia.
Yeah, perfect. That'd be great. There's
Yeah.
got to be some sort of game show out there where a doctor is willing to do that.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Oh man.
Should we talk about why we're doing this
Oh,
podcast?
that's right. We're not just
What is-
having a
what is the
conversation.
podcast?
Yeah, so this podcast is called Baywaves. What we're trying to do is we're trying to spotlight emerging performers, comedians, artists in the Bay. Give them a little love.
Yeah.
Talk to them, hear their story.
I see this potentially as people also visiting the Bay. They want to get a taste of
Totally.
the Bay through us because we're babes.
We're Bay babes.
We're Bay babes. And yeah, artists, performers, like entertainers, people that are just like
People who are doing cool stuff.
Yeah.
Trying to create, produce, who deserve, I think, a little bit more gravitas
us. Yeah,
in their life. And us.
And us.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
they have the pleasure.
the pleasure.
The pleasure. Of joining
We
us.
should call
in
this room the pleasure- the
Dylan's
pleasure room.
apartment. Yeah. Dude, you're going to have so many people. You're going to have so many people enter your apartment.
I know. It's like a peek into it. It's like
Oh my
I'm
God.
I'm
People
like,
are gonna your neighbors are gonna get suspicious. They're gonna be like,
oh, this is the third place I've lived in where it's been like that. The other two, one of them I turned basically my whole living room into a studio. My girlfriend hated that. And the second one, different girlfriend. It was we ended up just like getting a place with the bedroom that was dedicated to that. So now it's all just it could be behind a closed door, because the first place was like the living room was the only big space. Right now it's a converted living room, but it's also like this. I don't know. It doesn't feel like too much work.
no, it wasn't too much.
yeah.
It wasn't too much. It works.
You just throw the camera.
You
Yeah,
really throw Bachelor vibes.
I do.
into this. No, just like from the space, drums.
So not me
happy,
personally,
Japanese,
but this
art.
place is.
Yeah, but I love it.
Yeah.
And I love our interviewee.
Oh God. Yeah, we had
gosh.
Jed L.
Jed Levine. Jed is kind of a master of musical improv in the Bay. He's got a lot of experience actually in Chicago, where musical improv is quite big.
That's right.
And he came over a couple years ago, and he's really been building up the scene, which is awesome. Like, we need more people like Jed. He performs out at All Out Comedy
Yeah.
in Oakland.
I think he teaches and coaches there, and I want to say also at Leela, which is another local
Does, yeah,
improv
big in Leela.
place, and then has also performed at like Bats and other theaters. So he's just kind of all over the place, and he's the teacher coach. I mean, he's the proprietor of Bay Area Musical Improv, and I'm sure he's not the first, but he's certainly leading it right now.
Yeah, and he's just a wonderful human.
Yeah,
Like,
it's really nice knowing him.
he just has so much knowledge of improv that he's able to unload to people in such a way that makes you feel like maybe I should do musical improv.
Yeah, and you get to watch him unload this next minute.
Big unloading.
Lots of unloading. We have a bit in there. We have a
good
a
time.
game that we play.
Yeah, we're like improvisers, so we play games.
That's right. Yeah, but we don't want to just have improvisers on this podcast.
No, absolutely not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Comedians, artists, performers,
Uh-huh.
clowns.
I wanted the next 6 episodes to be about tap dancers.
Oh, tap dancers would be so good.
Yeah. I know a few good
Tippity
ones
tap.
too.
It's going to be good.
Yeah, they'll do it right here on this table.
All right, so let's get to our guest.
So I'm like an urban planning nerd. So this is
Oh,
like, This is
cool.
my forte. I'm
That's
sorry,
what
I
we
won't
want to
lean
talk
closer.
about.
What do you mean you're an urban planning nerd?
I love
armchair urban planning?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
I was my minor in college, and then I didn't pursue it as a career because it turns out urban planners don't get to do anything they want to do. You just build more lanes. So
Yeah. Here's the sidewalk. We got to
was
build a
like,
new sidewalk.
Oh, it's not
Yeah.
exactly a fulfilling job once
it's not a
you do
super
it.
fulfilling job. No, it's like you have these big dreams where you're like, oh, we're gonna upzone the neighborhood, we're gonna do all this stuff, we're gonna add more affordable housing, and by the time it's done, it's like you spent your entire career to build like a pocket park and expand a road.
That's so sad. So you just default to like SimCity or like some of these other
I
video
can't. I
games.
literally can't play SimCity because I am so addicted to it. When I was in middle school, I would come home from school on Friday and it'd be like 6 o'clock and I'd settle in and I'd start playing SimCity on the house computer because we had house computers back then. And I'd play for a couple hours and I would look up and it was fucking Monday morning. It was like the time just disappeared. All of my time. And
That's
so
how.
I have
But that's
just-
how you
I
got
can't-
into it. You wouldn't have loved.
I mean, yeah, that would definitely stoked the fires
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm a public transit nerd. I like all of it.
Nice.
What would you say your favorite piece of like urban planning is in the Bay?
There's not a lot of good urban planning
Okay,
in the
you
Bay.
just
Really?
sit it. You look around like I would
Yeah.
change that and that and that.
They're
Everything I've
fixing
heard is that it was
stuff.
intended. It was built
For cars.
and for not as many people as it.
Is that just
Yes.
America or is that the Bay?
It's America. It's basically all development post World War II in America, and the downside is most of California's development was post World War II. So we have very little of the old stuff from when people did do public transit, and then what we did build, like BART. The land use around BART, you guys have been to BART stations, it's just like a sea of parking. It's like the shittiest place.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
want to spend time there. They're starting to fix that, so maybe that's like the good thing.
They're
is,
starting
like,
to
some
want
of
to
the-
make you spend
They're
time.
doing
there?
transit-oriented developments. Yeah, they just go come hang out in the parking lot.
What?
And you just get to look at cars. No,
Dude, you never like
developing that.
tailgated in like a BART parking lot?
yeah,
I did see recently out of my friend lives in a high-rise apartment. We're looking down and they were decommissioning an old train, an old car from the BART, and there was a line of people lined up to ride this thing for one last day, one
those
last
are my people.
time.
That's
Those
the
are your
nerds.
people.
Yeah,
There
yeah,
was
yeah.
a
I
food
get
trucks
alerts.
there. I mean, like it was a
Yeah,
party.
Yeah.
That's
That is a party. No, what I'm thinking of is like good is where they say, oh, we've got this giant parking lot. That's very foreboding. Nobody wants to spend time there. And so they go, great, let's build maybe like a parking structure for some of the cars. And then let's build like a whole transit oriented development where there's like, you can live there, you can work there. There's like cafes and restaurants and libraries and stuff like that. So it feels like a place where you're like, oh, if you live within a mile of it, you might actually walk to the BART station.
That's
kind of a
true.
vibe.
People get excited about public transportation, or just like they feel like like an emotional tie to
Yes.
public transportation, especially if like you grew up around it.
Trains are the most romantic form of travel. I think everybody
really
loves
are.
a train.
Romantic.
We
People
love it.
like
There's
to
a
be.
romance to it.
I
There's
do
something
have-
so nice about like being bounced around.
Yeah.
Oh my
It's
god.
very like
yeah.
I do have I do have great memories on a train with like a significant other.
Yeah.
Just cozying on up if it's a cozy train, obviously. But Is this always been like the case, or did you grow up?
No, I've when I was a little kid, we would go to AAA. Have you guys ever been inside of like a AAA? My parents would go there. and
Yeah,
they would
yes.
give out maps because it's before Google Maps. This is like the late
Okay.
90s, and they'd have maps of like, this is a map of San Francisco, this is a map of the Bay Area, this is a map of the East Bay, and I would just steal. They'd be like 20 deep, and I would steal the first 10 of each one. And so I'd
10?
yeah, because what I like to do is draw on them. So I would like design a transit system,
What?
and then I'd like go, I think I can do better based on no information. I had a lot of
I could
confidence
do
as
better.
a 7-year-old. I was like, I know where trains need to be in San Francisco, based on nothing more than a map.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so much confidence. I bet
Yeah.
that confidence really extends to like your ability to perform on stage. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have always had some might say too much confidence, but it's helpful.
it's
Having
okay.
that
We'll
confidence
knock you
makes
down
Yeah,
in
no, I
this.
appreciate that. I'm always looking.
Do you struggle with
Take
it?
some
Or does
hits.
it is you're married?
Yes.
Is your husband ever like, we gotta knock you down a peg? We gotta.
No, I mean, maybe. Everything I hear is just glowing.
Oh,
from it.
that's
It's
good.
always.
Good
Oh,
reviews.
yeah, of
good
course.
I
reviews.
think my brain's just blocking out all the
Yeah,
bad
yeah.
stuff.
You could read the reviews right here and right here.
Yep, exactly. No, I think I'm very fortunate. I think there's another version of me in the world that didn't have my parents, who is maybe the most annoying person you've ever met. And I'm very grateful that I have my parents and that they like tempered some of those instincts. And like it fostered that like.
Oh, so they weren't
listening
building you up;
muscle
they were
that-
breaking you back down because you're already too built up.
No, I mean they were very supportive, but like they just like they were always there to be like, hey, listening. They wanted me to listen. They wanted me to be a team member because like I naturally would kind of like shift into that leader role.
Yeah.
And I like the leader role. It's fun. I still like it. But you can't be a leader all the time. And being a good leader doesn't mean you make all the decisions. So it's like they'd be there to help me with that kind of stuff. Of like, hey, if you're gonna be the guy directing the little play at the summer camp, like just remember, like take some time to listen to everybody and make sure you take their like you have a vision, but like everyone wants to be included. So like my parents would like instill that in me. So I think
That's
I'm
good.
grateful to
That's really good. I mean, I guess like how important do you think like confidence on stage, especially with musical improv, right?
Yeah.
The idea of like making really bold decisions,
Yeah.
sticking with it, like
100%.
Yeah.
It's 100%. All improv, music improv in particular, it's a confidence game. That's it. It's just if you believe you can do it, you can do it. And if that doubt starts entering your brain, it's the worst thing ever.
It's the worst.
It's
my
just
gosh.
It's the enemy.
it completely it's going to destroy everything. Like the nothing. It's just it starts feeding on itself, and so it starts as like letting a little doubt in, and then it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. I'm always like in my classes. I think my students think I'm a little weird for this, but like I set right away like this expectation of like no one's allowed to sing from the back half of the stage because obviously like when you're really nervous and you're feeling that, your first instinct is to like stand close to the curtain, to the back wall, right? It's like that's safety. And it's like, nope, you can sing from the middle, but basically if you're taking a verse or a chorus, you better be at the front lip of the stage. I want to see your toes touching that. And then I talk a lot about like just like body language. So I do a little bit of heavy coaching of just like arms at your sides, stillness, starting from stillness and then building from there. And it's one of those things like I don't truly believe you can fully trick your body into being confident, but your body is taking cues. And so if your hands are in your pockets and you're hugging the wall and you're hunched forward, your body is going to be a lot less likely to find that confidence in you. Whereas if you're just coming out boldly, taking that position, holding still with your arms at your side, I always say like roots coming out of your feet, going 40 feet down, like you're a fucking tree planted there at the front of the stage. Then you can just kick your body up to another gear and also from an audience standpoint, audiences relax when they feel taken care of, when they're like, oh, these people have got this. There's someone standing at the front of the stage. They're going to take the next verse or the next chorus of this song. It feels like we're in good hands. Because otherwise, buttholes get tight, and that's not fun.
I mean, when I first started to do improv, right, you'd go to a lot of like jams and you'd go to a lot of like very amateur stuff.
Sure.
And you kind of have to like work through the cringe because you're also being very cringe on stage. And I've always felt that the people who are just like, making really good decisions, sticking with it and look like they've been doing it for years and years and years, and be like, it just releases so much tension. And you'd be like, okay, they can do whatever, even if they like fumble through their words or they like say something that they didn't mean to, which can also like make for some very funny scenes. You're okay. And it's like you're enjoying it.
Do you remember your first times on stage?
It was my 101 grad show.
Ah.
Yeah. And I think it worked.
It was okay.
Yeah, I think it worked. So we're literally shitting my pants before the show. Like
Where was
nervous
this? Which
shits.
theater was this at?
This was at like what is now called Eclectic Box.
Oh, yeah.
In San Francisco.
Okay.
Yeah. It was a 101 grad show, and we all had a great time. And like, you just gotta pump up the energy. The audience knows it's gonna be bad, right? But like, you
Because
gotta
all your
lean
friends
in.
coming to the 101.
Yeah, it's your
showcase.
friends, and be like, look what you've been doing. You went to funny school for like the last like 6 weeks.
Yeah, show me what you got.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you remember your first time?
Yeah, a bit. It was I didn't love it at first. I actually I used to hate performing, mostly because what I figured out later was I hated having to memorize lines. That pressure to be perfect or to get things right is like a pressure that feeds all of my worst instincts. So like I would do plays in high school and I would have like a fucking heart attack on the sides. I do like 3 lines. I'd have to walk in and I'd be on the sidelines going like, would you like anything with your order? Would you like it? And then, like I'd just be sitting there like talking
you
myself
like
into a
anything
panic.
with your
Whatever
order?
fucking line it was like so unimportant, and I'd be like getting myself into like this like sweaty mess. And so I was like, well, I just don't like performing. It's just not like, or
Yeah.
at least performing in that way.
Yeah.
And so I came through to improv through writing. I started. I was in Chicago. I quit a job. I started a writing class at Second City because I've always loved sketch and stuff like that, and I've always been a writer. And I did the writing class, and it was fine. I was not as good as I wanted to be, as you are whenever you try a new thing. You're like, I'm bad at this because it's new. And then every teacher was like, you got to try improv. Partly, I think it's just because they push improv classes, but also they're like, it helps your writing. It's like, it gives you into the present, gets you thinking about character and point of view and all that. So my first few improv classes were more of like a brute will, like forcing myself to do it. And it took me a while to like get past
You didn't like it.
the fear. Yeah, at first I was just like, well, I mean, I think I like having control. And so in a way, what I love about improv was it's like, to me, it's my practice to relinquish control. It's like, it's such a good practice. It's like meditation or yoga or whatever works for some people. And for me, improv is just the one where it's like, oh yeah, I'm 1/8 of the team on this stage right now. I can't control anything that's about to happen. And once you get past the initial fear, it's a very exciting feeling. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, a little bit of a rush.
is.
Where do you think like musical improv is going to be in like 10, 20 years? Like, let's like predict some stuff
Where
right
it's
now.
gonna be?
Yeah, like what are you projecting?
Well,
like,
on the moon. I mean,
Oh,
I
sick.
think
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
be, if we get back there, assuming it wasn't faked, I think they'll be there.
You'll be one of the first 10 people with NASA.
Yeah,
heading up
I'm an
there.
obvious choice, really. It's just
Yeah.
like, it's
oh
clear.
my gosh, yeah. There's a lot of urban planning to do on
There
the moon.
is. There's no
It's
urban
unlimited.
Yeah.
anything. Zero BART stations.
It's literally a sandbox environment for you
perfect.
to decide what
Yes,
they get.
and that's why I want to go so bad. Where's musical improv going to be? I don't know. I was very lucky to discover musical improv in Chicago, where it's like by far the most thriving community for that art form. At the time that I was there was a special theater called MCL that was founded by Steph McCullough, who's an incredible musical director, and some other people. And it was just a theater for music comedy live. That's all they did was musical comedy, and mostly it was improv. So that's where I first saw Improvised Sondheim Project. That's where I first saw Anarchy, the improvised rock opera. I got to do my first musical improv there at like Mint. It was amazing, and it was like this vibrant. Not only that, but like musical improv at Second City and at IO, every theater. It was like a really just like big warm hug of a community. Wow. And so I think I would love in 10 years in the Bay Area to see it more like that, to have a bit more bigger, just like more people doing it. I don't know where it goes. The problem is it's not super monetizable, which means, as with regular improv, like there's kind of a limit to it. Like there's certain angles that a few people have made, improv folks who've got TV shows or they've got something going on where they can tour, but like
There's a very special select few amount of
it's
people.
like a tiny sliver off the top, and then for the rest of it, it's kind of like it's just hard to. You're not going to make the big bucks with it, so there's just like a ceiling on how big it can go.
It really is a passion project.
Yeah, which I love about it because
Yeah.
I think that was one thing that I found tough about. Chicago is like the least worst of them, but like New York, Chicago, LA is like almost everyone who's doing improv there. I don't want to say almost everyone. A lot of people doing improv there are like looking for the next thing. They're on career paths. They're like, I want to be on SNL. I want to be the star of a TV show. I want to be in a writer's room, which is fair. People are allowed to have career ambitions, but there is something nice about a community where it's like, no one wants to be anywhere but here. Like, there's just,
Obvious, yeah.
like it's like, we just want to make musicals and have fun and make people laugh and enjoy it and make some fun, cool music together.
It's funny you said like you like the control.
Yeah.
And then earlier too, you were talking about your like students, which you're talking about adult students because you teach like one-on-ones at like adult theaters, we'll call it.
Which makes it sound
Yeah.
so much worse.
Yeah. The back of the theater.
Yeah, I teach adult.
I teach
improv.
adult. But I've been in. I've never like taken a class from you, but we've worked together and I've watched you do your craft in the coaching and teaching. And I'm relatively new. I've coached a little bit, but I've been taking cues from you behind your back.
Oh.
You do not know this, but I've been like, I want to do that. That seems like a great way to like pump up a team before a show.
Mm-hmm.
That seems like a great. I mean, that's mostly where I've seen you do your work, but
Dylan, I love that for you.
Yeah.
I love that you're doing it. You made it sound very weird,
How
like
so?
very stalkerish.
Oh yeah.
I would
No, I've been
say.
watching you. I've been
I've been
taking
watching
notes.
you a
I'll be
lot.
Oh, yeah.
watching you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're.
I love Peeping Tom. I'm into it.
Oh yeah.
It's great.
Well, you're welcome. Yeah.
Yeah, some people are like have those phobias where it's like, oh, is someone watching me? And then some people. Love
The
it.
thing is,
It's
I'm
like,
not.
gets
I'm
them
not.
off. Be
I'm
like,
not.
yeah, I hope someone's watching.
I'm peeping
me.
Tom, but like I'll let you know. It's like you're.
Oh, okay,
well,
yeah.
I mean,
No, I love that. You're
Yeah.
a Peeping Tom, and then you're a Talking Tom.
a talking
yeah.
Tom. Yeah.
Then you're like, hey, I was watching you. By the
I
way.
have goal and ambitious careers too.
That's great.
Yeah.
Good. I feel like back to the point about like confidence. I feel like a lot of what I do as a teacher and a coach is just like helping people remember that we can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's so much, and I remember what it was like when I first started. I'm past that point where I have paralyzing fear, but like for the first 3 years I did improv, I always had like in the pit of my stomach just like a horrible
Really?
feeling.
Yeah.
And there was moments where I'd often like defer to others. Like I'd wait for everyone to take before I would take because I was so nervous. But because I have a very confident exterior, I would get people would like compliment me and they'd be like, "Wow, it's really great that you have so much restraint. Like you don't take over people." And I go, that's restraint. I'm doing that on purpose, and that is absolutely what I meant to do. Not
That's so good.
I'm terrified and don't want to go until it's absolutely got to be my turn. So yeah, I do a lot of.
Did people know that? Did you tell them that?
Yeah, later on I would
Yeah,
tell them.
yeah.
And the best piece of advice I ever got, which is the one that I tell all my teams before they perform, because I think it helped me a lot to deal with fear. Because like fear is just the most important part of improv, right? If you can minimize the fear or silence the fear, everything is possible.
Yeah.
And so the advice that I got that helped really transform it for me is fear and excitement are the same chemical process inside of you. It's the same emotion, just viewed from two different perspectives. The same feeling of fear is like anything could happen, and it's a feeling of like, ugh, I'm nervous about it.
Yeah.
And excitement is anything can happen. What a cool thing that anything could possibly happen. And you can't, again, it's like, I don't believe in easy tricks. It's not like you can just quickly reroute your brain that fast, your like neural pathways, but like, if you keep that mantra in your head when you're on stage, and every time you're like, those nerves kind of bubble up, and you just remind yourself, hey, yes, I'm a little afraid, but I'm also excited. I'm excited to show people what I can do. I'm excited to play with my friends. I'm excited to do this thing that I love so much and have worked so hard on. And if you can do that, it's like bit by bit that fear starts to drop more, and you get it more in check. Because excitement is, you can use that. That's like an emotion that you can create so much cool stuff. Fear is hard to channel. It's just hard to work with.
Yeah,
very hard,
it reminds me of like the Evil Knievel types, the Nitro Circus guys. Just like they're gonna do triple backflips on a bike, and I'm sure they're fearful and using that using that energy,
that adrenaline rush, right? Like that's terrifying. They're scared too, right? But they're just channeling in a different way.
It's not about not being scared. It's just about being scared and doing it anyway, right?
Yeah,
and so
totally.
it's like anything you can do to find that keeping the fear in perspective and just being like, the fear is there.
So you had to do this mind frame shift over time.
Yeah. I've convinced myself, and I still do it sometimes when I'm in a show and I'm like, we're like halfway through a show and I'm like, God, I really don't know what comes next.
Yeah.
And I have to just remind myself, like, that's okay. Anything can come next. And we're talented and we're going to make it work. And I don't have to have any, because like we do narrative. So like with narrative, you never want to pre-plan a show, but you want to have like ideas of like, I know that our protagonist wants a thing. I can kind of visualize some possible trajectories. And then as things play out over the course of the show, you can like get more final on them. But sometimes you just got nothing and you're just like, okay, well, I just got to step out there and start a scene and we'll figure it out.
I might have to pick your brain on narrative. I haven't done a ton of it, but one of my teams is asking for some more coaching on that, which I came up with the more gamey character relationship stuff.
Sure.
Yeah. That, I mean, you really anything could happen. We know this, but I mean, like last night I had this whole sideline thing where I was like, okay, I'm going to come out. I like the scene that's happening. I'm going to come out. I think I'm going to figure out what to add here. I think this is a good idea. I came out, and before I could say anything, one of the characters that was already on stage that was established had this great one-liner that made sense for my character coming out, and it was swept after that. So I didn't even say any. I think I said one line, but they had this really good bow, and I was like, okay, well, there you go. Now I can't do my thing, and it's great for it because it was such a good.
You're adaptable.
Yeah. You kind of have to be.
Jed, you're kind of like at the vanguard in the Bay of like musical improv. Like you teach a couple indie teams. You've got one of the only shows that does musical improv. Do you feel like a responsibility to like grow musical improv in the Bay?
Yeah, so I will say I'll take Vanguard. That's fine. There are
It's just a good
plenty-
word.
What would you-
honestly.
what would you go with?
Yeah, what would you say?
I don't know. I'm
like
doing a lot of
king?
shit. I'm just doing stuff. I don't know. I'm just a big believer in just like doing the work and letting people come. It happens if you anyway.
But I say
No,
it
no,
because
no,
there's not
that's-
a whole lot of people doing it.
There's not
right?
a lot. There was prior to the pandemic. There was a bit more. There was like Unscripted was a theater in San Francisco. They regularly did musical improv. They unfortunately had to shut down. They're a nonprofit. It just wasn't in the cards for them, so they're not around. There's a couple other teams that perform. Like Flash Mob is now I think monthly, if not bi-monthly, at End Games.
Okay.
So they do like an improvised. Actually, their form's been changing. I don't know what it is right now because they were doing a montage. Anyway, Bats will do a musical a couple times a year. They're the first people I guested with when I moved here. But yeah, there's not a ton right now in the Bay Area, and I do feel a responsibility. And honestly, it's just like it. It just kind of became a project for me. Like when I moved here under not the best circumstances. At the very start of the pandemic, my mom was diagnosed with cancer. And so my husband was in Montreal and I was in Chicago. I liked my life in Chicago and he was planning to move to Chicago. And then my mom got cancer and was starting chemo. And so I literally flew out to the Bay Area the week, it was like March. It was like the week that everything shut down. I thought I was coming out for a week.
Wow.
And then I had like shows lined up when I got back. And then literally the day before I left was like the day they canceled the NBA and all the other stuff. And it was like, oh, this could be bigger. And I literally didn't go back. I had friends moving out of my apartment. So I was very bummed, to say the least. I lost my mom. That was also not great during the pandemic. Also not great. Tough times. Mm-hmm. And so and then I also lost my community. Like I loved my friends in Chicago and the improv communities that I was a part of. And that was like the bummer I could do something about. Like you can't bring a mom back. You can't end a pandemic all on your own. Although you can mask and get vaccinated. That's a good way to end a pandemic.
Oh, I thought you meant like mask your emotions.
I'm just putting, I'm just putting a plug out.
You
there.
can be a
Save
recluse.
everyone. Yeah, you can do that. But yeah, and so that was the one thing I was like, well, I'm never going to have the same community as in Chicago, but like if I want to have a community, I'm going to have to put the effort in. Like it's not just going to be handed to me. It's not like I'm going to step into a fully built, like it was in Chicago. In Chicago, I did nothing. I walked into this fully formed, unbelievably talented and welcoming and warm community. And so part of me was just like, okay, how do I help make that happen here so that the next person here gets to walk into that community? And so, and because I'm a very strategic thinker and I'm very, I have that natural kind of like, I like to make stuff. I like making things, like putting stuff out there.
You urban planned this project.
I urban planned the improv. That's it. I put all the streets together. I put the scaling of the heights. But yeah, and so I just kind of went in and I was like, great, what do we need to do to make it happen? And so it's like the first thing was like, well, there's got to be classes. There's got to be jams for reps. We've got to have shows where people can see high quality stuff. There's like a missing middle that I think is always a problem in a smaller community where once you've finished classes, but you're not quite at that level that you're going to be like playing at a high level for like a more professional team, there's like a gap where you just need reps. You just need to be able to perform. And there's not, in Chicago, there was a bunch of different house teams and different, there was this thing called Mint where it was like very open and that's where I first got my first reps. And that just doesn't exist here. So it was also like, how do we build out training teams and indie team culture and all of that? And so that's how I basically built all that. And then I went, oh, this is an organization that I'm doing right now. And so that's why I created Bay Area Musical Improv as like a nonprofit. Was like, okay, great. I guess if that's all the stuff I'm doing, let's like, how is it under something? And then we could also host the festival, which was kind of a big thing that we did last year. So
super fun.
So yeah, I would say I'm excited to be helping to build this community. There's a lot of great people from before the pandemic still around that are like excited to do things, maybe still kind of lacking for access, like the theaters to perform in or the teams to play with. But it's like it feels like every month that goes by, we're like getting like one step closer to that goal of like there's another new indie team, there's another new opportunity, there's a new jam on the street, there's something else. Yeah. That's
nice. Yeah, I mean your festival, which I went to, I performed in, but I'm not a musical improviser. I was on drums.
You were amazing.
Thank you.
Such a hot night.
I appreciate it. That was a lot of fun. And I think one of the other producers of the festival was singing that
Molly
night.
Or Pat.
Yeah, maybe Molly.
Molly, yeah.
Anyways, it was a blast. And what was cool is just to see everybody come out of the woodwork that's a part of the musical improv scene in the Bay in one place.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they were super grateful for that. And then you also flew a bunch of people out, which is so cool.
Yeah, I got to call in some favors. I tried to get more of my friends, but it was because we got a late start on it, we only had like a 6-month lead on the dates. The only team I could get out was Improvise on Time, but I love them to death. They're incredible. So
I mean, you've already announced your
now
next one.
Yeah, we just announced the date for 2025. So I'm literally sending out emails to all my friends in Chicago being like, come, because I also feel like a huge part of getting better at improv is watching shows. And I know that sounds self-serving. I feel like every teacher's like, watch shows. Like, watch my show.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I don't care if you watch my show, watch any show. And there's just not a ton of options right now. There's like, I send out a newsletter every bi-weekly for Bay Area Musical Improv, and I always round up like, what are all the musical improv shows happening? And some weeks it's basically just, it's not Knockoff Broadway, the show I play with, Riot, which is the new house team at All Out Comedy, does a rock opera, and usually Flash Mob musical. And then some weeks we might have like a Bats musical in there, or some other made-up theater company in Fremont will do one thing. But it's like, there's still not a ton of opportunities to see different things. And also like, you know, my approach is one approach to musical improv. It's not the only approach. So it's like, part of me is like, people should take classes and watch people who are not me to get like another perspective.
But it's interesting though, because it's going to be so many people's only perspective because you run multiple programs around it.
Yes, that's
Vanguard.
true.
That's
Vanguard.
Well, the hope would be Vanguard. Jesus, I'm souring on that word.
It sounds like the leader of like a cult.
Yeah,
like Mr. Vanguard.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah,
that's nice. Well, I'm improv cult.
Yeah.
Don't you want to be a little bit like a leader of a
You're
cult?
a little bit cult leader, Jed.
Like that's gotta be a pretty cool gig until it all comes crashing down.
I hate it. I'll be honest. No, I mean like in a real way. I like making things. I don't like people being dependent on me. There is like a thing in my gut where it's like, if someone is like, I need you for this, like, and that's like, I have to do work.
I
like
just
in all parts of my life of like, I could never be a cult leader because the second someone would be like, I need you I would be like, oh, go away. I'd be like, I can't. You don't want to need me.
It sounds like you have a very independent husband that it does not require.
Yes, but I mean, with a romantic relationship, it's like you're willing to kind of put in that work to like overcome that and be like, it's okay for him to need me. Like,
if he's sick.
Just because your fight or flight response is activated doesn't mean you have to listen to it. No, and he is very sweet, and he kind of lets me, you know, I think it's very healthy in a relationship to have like different hobbies and interests. Like, my parents had a beautiful relationship that I still think is like in my head like the role model for what I would like in my life.
Wow.
And they both had like things that they did that were completely separate from each other, but then they came together. It's like, I think that's for me like what I like is like I could never be in a relationship where we were like.
Can I ask what you two do together?
What do we do together now?
He's not musical improvising.
No, but he did take a couple improv classes.
Nice.
So his first
Your
language,
classes?
No.
Jed.
I don't want to teach people I'm in a relationship with. I feel
that'd be they're nepo baby's not the right word.
I almost
for that.
exclusively want to teach people I've been
it's
in
like
a
a conflict. It's like a conflict of interest. I feel it's just like this feeling of like I can't give you a note. I mean, an intro class is fine. You're not going to give a harsh note, but like sometimes you have to tell someone. You have to be like, "Hey, I like that, but like, can we try it a different?" And it's just like
you
it's
suck, and we're
hard
going to talk about this later.
Yeah, like literally the notes that you give, being like, that's gonna come back to haunt you like later at dinner.
Yeah, that would be hard for me. No, but the stuff we do together, we're both. He's more passionate about it, but I've started to fall for it. Is gardening. He's really into permaculture gardening, which is like using natural systems to grow food. I like it because I'm very talky, very energy, very extrovert, and so I like the things that challenge me. Like I'm very attracted to like improv challenges.
Wait, how does that help with gardening? I'm confused.
Patience. It helps. Like, gardening is all about patience. It's like you do a big thing and you put it in the ground, and then you go, oh, and now it's not ready.
You could talk at it until something happens.
I can talk at it, but it's going to be like months before I see anything from this.
Okay, I see what you're saying. This is practice. This is practice for slowing down.
I like doing like improv is fun, right? I say a thing on stage, it gets an immediate reaction from the audience. It's such an addictive, like fun thing to like have that instant community, like fast, easy fun. But then it's also like, oh, but if my whole life is that, then it's like, you know, you can't have dessert for dinner. Sometimes you have to like balance. And so I like the things that force me to be more patient.
That slow dopamine drip of gardening over months.
Such a small amount of dopamine.
Oh, speaking
like
of
the
this,
littlest.
perfectly leads into some drugs I wanted to offer you.
Oh my gosh, this is the part of the show.
We're doing off label.
It's famatid. How do you pronounce that? Famotidine. Famotidine. We could totally cut this out, by the way, but it's generic for Pepsid, and this helped me.
Okay.
a lot, and it's one of the more instant acting, and it's stronger than like a Tums.
I'll take. Yeah.
But this is, and you certainly don't need. Yeah.
I can just
Is
take
this
one?
like over the counter? Is this like?
You really can get it over the counter. Yeah, yeah. It's just
Okay.
that my doctor's like, I'll just put it in, like, you just come grab it. So I won't give you the whole thing, but I'll definitely like,
I'll take
please
one. Yeah, absolutely.
And
Are we all gonna take one?
okay, so here's the other thing
It's
about
Molly.
this.
Is there a side effect? Yeah.
There was
Wow.
a side effect that happened to me, and my doctor says this is like not common.
What
but
is it?
I started to feel numbness around my like forehead, like a little above my eyebrow,
No,
and it took like
I
a
don't
few.
even know what that feels like.
It's
What,
so hard
numbness
to
around your
explain, but
forehead?
basically it was just like you touch your forehead. And it was like kind of like it was just kind of numb. It was a little tingly, and then it took a few days for it to go away, and it like completely went away. But it was a little bit bizarre.
Days?
Yeah. It's not so.
How was
I might
that-
pass. I think I'm gonna pass.
How much do you care about your forehead?
I've never thought about it.
Okay.
In a conscious way.
Well,
it's just always been
exactly right?
there. It's always been there.
Again, it's just
You're
well,
very
anyways, they're here
indifferent
if you
to-
wanna-
Okay.
Yeah, that was like an infomercial for like a pharmaceutical drug, and you're like showing all the happy stuff. Like you're gonna feel great after this,
Yeah.
and then at the end,
You're like,
you have to
may cause
give all the
numbness.
side effects, and then you're
Everything-
terrified because it
every-
goes on for 30 seconds.
You can't not everything. Everybody is a side effect. You know what I mean? Like you're great. I love you, Johnny, and also like you have side effects too.
of your of.
Oh,
your
anytime I
life?
hang out with you afterwards, I get numbness like right here in my forehead.
Wow. Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
why
I
I
get-
never take my friends orally because
Oh my
you
god!
know the
You
side
can't.
effects. You
You
shouldn't
can't.
do it off label.
Yeah. You got to do it over the counter,
Yeah.
and you got to do it. You know, there's other ways to take medicine.
What a bust!
Yeah.
What are the other ways
Wait,
to take medicine?
yeah, this one's not oral.
Oh,
Suppository.
actually, great. Yeah, I'll take the whole bottle. Great.
Feels so much better.
Now I'm back in.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny that you were promoting getting vaccines and wearing masks,
Yeah, that's
but
hysterical.
you're actually anti-drug that helps you anti-medicine.
Yeah, we are multitudes, and I just
Okay,
like to
yeah.
keep everyone guessing. My goal
Yeah,
is
makes
for
sense.
everyone I interact with, for 10% of the brain to be like, did this guy vote
Did he
for
just-
Donald Trump? Is
Yeah,
he
yeah.
into RFK Jr.?
Jed is a true enigma.
Yeah. I'm just kidding. I'm voting for Kamala.
An enigmatic vanguard. I love it.
Oof. Adjectives.
Jed, does like the music that you listen to, like whatever you're into, does that influence like what you want to perform on stage?
For sure. I love musicals. I've always been. My dad is from New York, and he's a huge musical theater nerd. My grandma was, and so he kind of raised us to be musical theater nerds too. And I love them. And so basically anything to me, like my favorite musicals are
Mittens.
Sondheim.
Sorry,
Mittens.
musical theater nerds. MTN mitten.
Mittens.
Oh, I thought that was a side effect.
I just had to yell it because I was like, I
that's
like
a
it.
great. That's a good name.
Thank you.
For,
I'll
for
take
like
it.
A night.
Yeah.
For musical theater nerds.
Yeah, Mittens.
Join us for the
Mittens.
I cut you off.
Yeah, no, it's fine. That was the end of it. I like musicals a lot. I also no.
Do you do other like forms of musical improv that's like, I guess, less musical and maybe
Like pop music or like regular.
yeah,
Well, you
or
teach a
like
cla-
a
you-
rap,
Is
right?
it a three
Yes.
level 3 class?
Level 2
Level
is
two.
genres and styles. So
Okay,
I teach
cool.
a bunch of genres and styles, some of which I'm probably qualified to teach, and others I'm absolutely not.
Sure.
But-
What do you feel less confident in?
So, I mean, I teach freestyle rap. I do. I am capable of doing freestyle rap. Not great, but like I can do it. But when I think of like the people I studied with in Chicago who taught it, it's like there's a
Kanye West.
The depth. Yeah, absolutely. Exactly.
Who else is from Chi-Town? There's some big rappers out there. That's a huge community.
What's his face? Oh my God! Why did his brain? Oh my God! My brain just exploded.
Tupac.
There's-
No,
no,
he's not from there.
His middle name is the blank.
Tyler,
blank.
the creator.
No, it's he hosted SNL. He's so funny. My brain
Should we
just
get our
flew out the
producer to look it
window.
up? Oh wait,
Great. Just ignore me.
I
Ignore me.
think I know what you're
What is
talking
his
about.
name?
And he has two
I know
DJ
what you're.
producers.
I know what you're talking about.
Hang on. Can I
Yeah,
just
we
pull
can.
out a
Yeah,
phone
whatever.
here?
Yeah,
This
that's
is a
fine. I
cool
wanna
show.
know.
Yeah.
Just wanted to
see
look into
real
Johnny's
quick.
eyes. I like your shirt today.
Do you?
Yeah, it's
I-
fun.
Yeah, I think it's all right.
No, not the top one.
Chance the Rapper.
Chance.
Oh.
God, his last name is literally Rapper.
By the way,
How much does it? How much
Sitting
does
here
it?
going, he's blank.
Who's
the
that
something.
rapper?
What's the word?
Yeah.
God damn it.
Jed the Improv or
How cool is it to have like the in one's name?
It's pretty cool. John the Baptist, Chance the Rapper,
Yeah.
The Rock.
Meet the Ball.
Oh my God, The Rock. Yeah.
If you haven't seen this show, also can't remember the name of it. Rhythm and Flow, I think is the name of the show, but it's on Netflix, and it is rappers coming up through different cities, and it's a competition show. So it's American Idol for rap. And
nice.
their
Cool.
panelists are like, sometimes it's like Snoop Dogg. I know he's all over the news right now. They got Chance. Chance was up first season, like a staple rapper. It's really fun. I'm a big fan.
Sweet. I'll check that out.
How do we get there?
You guys? You were talking about like musical influences, but I'm curious from you two. Have you guys ever tried musical improv? Have you guys ever done any singing whilst improvising?
So I've always felt like, let me kind of master regular improv first,
Yeah,
before I
master.
dive into something that in my head is a lot more complex. And I think it's less about like ability to sing and like more like I don't think I rhyme well or like understand how to do that. And I'm like, I would flounder so hard. So
That's fair.
step by step for me, but I appreciate it.
I will say, like, this is how I was trained, and this is how I train people here, is rhyming is the cherry on top. It's not the sundae. So you don't have to rhyme. In fact, I encourage my students before we build that muscle not to rhyme, because if you chase after rhymes, you're going to end up with all these accidental cows, accidental wives. It's like you say a word, you're like, I'm having the time of my life, and what's that over there? It's my wife. And you're like, why does this 7-year-old character have a wife? Like that doesn't, now you're like negotiating reality
Accidental
because
That's so
you,
fair.
you chased after the rhyme. And so we practice setup and payoff. So it's like a muscle you literally build, and I call it just getting rhyme swole. So it's like you just practice coming up with setups for different payoffs. And it's like, it's not glamorous, it's not fun, but you sit there brushing your teeth and you're just like, brush, hush, shush, rush. That's all I got. Great. Mirror, clearer, dearer, fearer. Sure, great. And as soon as you run out, you get a new one. And so you start building up. There's like two muscles. One is quickly generating rhymes, and the other is recognizing when you're out, because usually you're only going to come up with like 3 or 4 good ones before you have to engage more of like your thinking brain. And you never want to let the perfect be the enemy of the good, because the more you go into that brain, the less you're now, like connected with what's happening around you. So you just build up that muscle, and then it becomes second nature.
That's so smart, and that's a great way to put it. But rhyming is so fucking cool, and it's like
It is cool.
it's so cool. Do you have like any moment where you made a rhyme that you remember, and you're like, I
Nailed
fucking
that.
slapped
Nailed
that.
that.
I do, but it's not what you want. It's the wrong anecdote.
That's okay.
Sometimes you
What do
find
we want, Jed?
So remember how I just said you
You're
have
telling us
to
what we want.
let go.
I'll tell you what I want.
Okay, fine.
I want this. All right.
I want my fama.
I want to be cooked for the
Yeah,
next
I
9
want
hours.
face
Yeah.
numbness.
Perfect. I would love that. Actually, that would be nice. Something like that. That'd be great.
Yeah, what did we want?
So I just no. Well, you were like a rhyme you're proud of. This is a rhyme I'm not proud of, but I think it's a fun. It's just the one that is.
Yeah.
The problem is the
whatever
things
sticks
that stick in my brain are not good moments, or like they're
Oh,
not.
sure.
They're not the polished moments. They're the moments that just like made me giggle inside, which
Sure.
is usually when I'm doing bad things. So just like I told you, like recognize when a word doesn't have a rhyme, and you just let go of it. You go, oh, this word doesn't have an easy rhyme.
Yeah.
Grab a different word. Find a different. Like that's
Yeah.
the advice I give everyone else. I was in one of my first musicals post-pandemic at Bats. It was a holiday show, and we were creating a Hanukkah song about latkes. And in my brain, I was like, I'm gonna find a rhyme for latke.
That's
and I'm
hard.
sitting there going like, there's nothing. And so I finally did. It was like the setup was something like, I know you think it's something, and I just went notka, and literally you could hear the groans from the audience, but it fed me in a way that was so satisfying.
Sometimes
when
you
I
need the
paid off
groan.
the latke. It was just like it was just wonderful. So I do tell my students, like, if you're gonna do something like that, like go big, like just go really
Commit to
fail
it.
as big as you can.
Yeah.
Because if you do it halfway, then they're not gonna give you those sweet groans.
So
That
yeah, you
sounds-
were front of stage. You're like Notka.
Yeah. And then they all were like, everyone can see the rhyme being telegraphed, and they're like, oh, this comes on to latke, this fucking idiot.
Now,
I
looking back
love
on that,
when they do, when it looks like you're gonna say one thing and then you don't do it. You
Yeah.
make a left hand turn last second.
There's a whole game, bad rap. Have you
Bad
ever
rap.
been Bad rap.
I've not.
Bad rap is one where it's like bad rap, bad rap, bad rap.
Oh,
bad
yes,
rap,
I
bad
have
rap,
done
bad
that.
rap. I'm doing this podcast going full throttle. Bad rap, bad rap, bad rap. Gonna drink from this here canteen. Bad
Yeah,
rap,
yeah.
bad rap. And so it's like you're
Intentional.
That's so
Now,
good.
do you look back on that experience and can you rattle off like 18 things that rhyme with latke now?
nothing. No,
No.
it would have to be a
haven't.
forced rhyme. There's nothing. I googled it later. I was like, is there one that I missed?
Kamchatka?
It's like snot. Kamchatka, like Russia.
Yeah. Or like that cheap, that cheap.
All you needed was Johnny
Liquor?
around.
Yeah, dude, I'm
Sheep. What?
cheap liquor. You know that vodka?
What was it called? Kamchatka as well. I'm thinking of the
Latke,
the
vodka?
peninsula in Russia.
Vodka.
Latke. No, it's
Vodka, latka. That actually kind of, that's a slant rhyme, but it works. That
Yeah.
works. No, you guys are better than me at this. See?
Okay.
I'm teaching it and I don't even
We
know what the fuck I'm doing.
gotcha.
we're actually
gotcha.
oh, gotcha. We're actually
Drink
gonna
some
make this
scotch,
whole
yeah.
episode about us now.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jed,
Great.
for your
Yeah, yeah. We're the vanguards now.
Welcome to
Uh,
the Vanguard.
welcome to the
Vanguards.
Vanguard.
I have not really explored that. There are two. I do a lot of stage stuff, whether I'm on drums, I'm doing stand up, improv, whatever. And the two things that are absolutely terrifying to me are singing on stage and dancing on stage. Or I don't even need to be on stage, just doing it in general.
Yeah.
I'll sing in the car. That's totally fine. I mostly listen to like pretty screamy stuff, some singy stuff. And the close I used to break dance in high school, and then something happened something happened between then and now where the
Break
closest I've gotten to dancing again is I was taking like kind of like private lessons for tap dance, but nobody's
What?
seen it. I've actually did
You
some
can break dance
improvised
and
tap
tap
dance.
dance?
I've done some improvised tap dance, but like it's just me and my coach, and it's not also it's
one-on-one
also
tap.
I'm a percussionist, so for me it's all about like
Yeah.
making music, and I don't really care about any of this stuff.
The physicality
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah. I'm not a Broadway kind of guy. Also, I'm not a musical guy either. I don't really. I mean, like the kids are. I work at a school right now, and I can hear the kids all day practicing Aristocats. And what other one are they doing? Oh, High School Musical. And I just want to blow my brains out. I can't.
To be fair, that is truly terrible.
Okay,
Like
thank you.
Saw,
And I love
you saw
Aristocats
Wicked
too.
and you were like,
No, I
2
won't even
out of
watch
10.
it. I won't even watch it. Yeah. So
you're hurting, Jed.
I
right
know.
now.
I'm so
literally.
sorry.
I'm used to it.
Take
I
these
live in a world
pills.
of people who don't like musicals as much as me. And I also, there's a lot of musicals I don't like. So
Okay.
that's the thing. It's like any
And I'm
genre.
totally lying. I think if it's comedic, I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're making me laugh, then I can.
Like Book of Mormon type of thing.
That kind of thing.
I'm into comedic or just like musically the most extraordinary thing you've ever heard. And that's where like Sondheim comes in. He's often quite funny, but like his musicals, there's like 5 or 6 Sondheim musicals that are like perfect works of art musically
Really?
speaking. They're so
Okay. Maybe you can sell me
beautiful.
on these things. I watched. Is it Dix?
Dix
I watched Dix
musical.
recently.
That's
that was
funny.
insane.
Yeah.
It was so funny. Do you know about this?
No, I've seen billboards for it, but
Yeah.
I've not seen the music.
It's hard
That
to
was-
explain.
No, you can't. It was truly, it's like, imagine doing acid and then watching a musical.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We
It's
should take
bonkers.
those drugs.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
Jed will do
It
a one-man musical
takes some
for
hard
us.
work.
It doesn't
and
make
that's
you.
pretty much
The
Dix.
only thing that makes you feel better is your stomach acid. that's the only
do
thing.
it.
Yeah.
That'll do it. That'll
Yeah.
get you back.
That's all you need.
Yeah, no, I can't recommend Sondheim enough. He's just
Sondheim.
like company, a little night music, everything. I mean, I'm not as big into the woods. A lot of theater people really like that one. It's
okay.
not my favorite, but it's still incredible. Like
What
even
are you channeling when you're like what really like I have like my favorite drummers that I think about a lot when I'm
it's just
when I'm
human
playing.
truth. It's like that underneath everything, underneath the absurdity, underneath sex farce, underneath like whatever it is.
Sure.
There's just like fundamental human truths about like people are lonely, people are needy, people need each other. You know, it's like
Yeah.
all of those like cool. And I think he does an amazing job of like taking these human truths, turning them into beautiful pieces of music. Oftentimes with like heavy layering. So he's like really famous for doing like fuguing or like layering his music. So you'll have like 3 different motifs throughout a show that all kind of collide together, and it means something. It's like the music means something, and it just makes you everything. You just feel everything at like a higher level, whatever it is.
Okay.
It's great.
I love that. That's deep.
That's so deep.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, you're like truly looking at it in its art form, most
Yeah.
pure art form.
Even if you don't, if you just listen to it, you'd be like, that's sumptuous. Like that's beautiful. Like,
totally.
like an amazing piece of classical music. You'd just be like, that's great.
Yeah.
But then there's also usually words and story and character also baked in, which kind of
Yeah.
classical music's great, but I kind of need a story to keep me connected. So I have a
That's
hard
fair.
time
Yeah.
with, like,
I'll go to like the SF Symphony and I'll just fucking cry.
Really?
I mean, it's so beautiful, and like just being in the chamber orchestra, there's something like very angelic about it.
Totally.
And it's like not something that you get in your like daily dose
No.
of like pop music or the radio or whatever it is.
Because you're not listening to that at home.
You're not listening to it,
Yeah.
and then it's like, okay, I get it now,
Yeah.
right? And then there's 40 people on stage
Yeah.
all producing this sound.
This is what a violin's supposed to make me feel.
Yeah, and it's just like you just bawl. You
Yeah.
can do nothing else but bawl.
I was talking to a friend the other day who's never cried at any concert, anything music related. And I was like, you're a robot. Like, that's wild. I've cried at many.
I'm the easiest crier. I will cry
yeah?
at the drop of a hat. It takes almost
Really?
nothing for me to get misty-eyed, which is partly why I think I like writing. Or why
Jed,
I'm
I
drawn
think
to
you're
that.
beautiful.
It's like, thank you.
That you give me. Okay.
No, that's great. I needed to hear that because my forehead has gone completely numb.
He sat on a few of these pills.
Yes. I sat on them. So. Through the back. Yeah. I don't know what we were saying before.
I cut you off by calling
No,
you.
I don't know. It wasn't anything. I had nothing else to say.
You know, speaking of deepness
Sure.
and
Depth, as some might say.
I say deepness
I like it.
and how much you really care about the craft. We're gonna bring in something incredibly superficial.
Ooh.
We are.
That Johnny has set up for us. Are you gonna go grab it?
I'll grab it. I think
Okay.
you want to pose the right question.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Jed. I don't know.
What is about to
I guess the
happen?
question is,
I'm so scared.
when's the last time you let it rip?
Musically?
No. Answer it that way. Yeah,
Yeah,
sure. When's
musically.
the last time you let her rip musically? Yes.
I don't even know. In a show, maybe
Sure.
The last Knockoff Broadway show.
Last Knockoff Broadway show.
Probably
Yes.
let it rip a bit.
You can rip. I've definitely seen you rip like that. That's not what we're about to do.
We don't care about musically letting it.
Yeah, this is
Hell,
about
that's-
letting her rip with this knockoff, not Broadway, but Chinese branded Beyblades.
This is like the Temu version of Beyblades. We call this segment Beyblading in the Bay with Bays.
I like it.
Yeah.
With babes?
Bays.
With Bays.
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 Yeah.
Do
So-
you know what a Beyblade is?
Beyblade? No.
Okay, so you have, this
great.
isn't familiar at all to you.
Yeah.
No, but this looks like BattleBots to me. It looks familiar.
We're getting there. You're getting there. Are there 3 here?
You like
Or are there 2? There's 2. Okay. All right. I'm going to film while you guys do it. Okay. So, again, we just want to let you know this podcast is of huge importance to the Bay Area, and the only way to make it more important is by playing with these.
the Bay Area.
The Beyblades were hot in the 90s. Do you remember tech decks? They were little skateboards for your fingers.
Yes.
It was around the same time. Beyblades, they had these like crazy arenas. They sold a ton. Their tagline was "Let her rip," and you're gonna see why in a second. I mean, you're gonna have to say it too.
Yeah.
And they're gonna battle. It is like battle bots in a sense.
gonna battle.
Absolutely. I'm gonna film on my phone, so maybe we can like edit it in, Johnny. You're about to. So what I think the way we should do this is, Johnny's gonna let her rip,
I'm going to let it rip.
and then you're gonna let her rip slightly thereafter, and you're holding it upside down.
It's okay. It's okay.
I will film
this.
this.
This is Beyblading 101.
It's Beyblading 101.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so all you have to do is you're going to just put it down, right? On here, and then you're going to pull that zipper. You're going to let it rip.
Yeah,
okay?
but maybe you should.
I'm
so
going
you
to
can
go
show?
I'm going to go first, but then you can let it rip right after.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
we can rip at the same time.
You could rip at the same
can
time.
rip at the
But
same
you definitely don't
time.
want to get in each other's way.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then they're going to battle. So you've got the red ripper, the red Beyblade, and then I've got the blue one. And then whoever loses takes drugs. So we're going to
Oh, I should film sideways.
Okay. Ready? Ready for this? All right. Yeah, just let it rip. All right, there we go.
Yeah, go back there.
Let's go. Oh!
Red lost.
Wow,
Was
by
that
like a
you?
mile. No, that
Yeah,
was me.
that wasn't even a
Yeah,
competition.
blue is still going.
I got murdered.
You got
Tough
murdered.
First time.
Jed,
Yeah.
you really let us down, and you really didn't let her rip.
I'm pretty good.
I mean, I tried my best.
I think you put a lot of like oomph into it. I think you like it was a good college
I mean,
try.
yeah, it's the first. I don't mean to blame this, but like you have experience blading.
Johnny, when's the last time you let her
blade,
rip?
blade.
I guess like an hour ago when you were
An hour ago when we were setting this up, but
Yeah.
before that, 15 years.
15
Okay.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
So-
then that was a fair fight.
But you would
That was
collect these Beyblades, and they all had like really cool colors to it. Sometimes they would be they'd be heavy. They'd have sharp edges on them, so they can it's a little bit battle body.
It is a little bit
Only
for
in the
kids.
90s.
Only in the
Yeah.
90s.
But I think they're slowly coming
They
back.
are coming back.
You know how like Pokemon cards, like people go nuts, they collect
Yeah.
them, they like fight people at Costco to get like new packs of Pokemon
Mhm,
cards.
They sell out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hard to get.
Beyblades are
They're making a
making
comeback?
their way into that scene.
I have
So-
friends in the in like the car drifting scene out here, and they all carry Beyblades with them, and they let her rip while they're waiting for other cars to be done. Like get off the track because you can only have so many cars on the track at once.
So silly.
So it's like every few months they pick up a different hobby, like because there's a lot of waiting around. I mean, you're chilling in parking lots basically.
Yeah, true.
So you're finding secondary hobbies on top of your
So
hobbies.
silly. It's
It
like,
is. But improv needs one, and maybe Beyblades is maybe tech decks. I saw the silliest version of this. I keep cutting you off. I'm so
No,
sorry.
it's okay.
But a kid at my school, we're not allowed to bring toys. They're not allowed to bring toys to school. But I had to let this pass. It was so good. So I mentioned tech decks earlier. He had a tech deck. Was it a tech deck or like a tiny scooter that you would
Okay,
you know?
yeah.
But he had jeans for his fingers, and they look like little
That's adorable.
like little pants, a pair of pants that you put on. And he was so stoked on it. He put little shoes on the fingy tips.
Oh,
It was
I feel
very
like that.
fun.
I feel like
cute.
that should be like a whole like motion capture film.
Yeah, or maybe
Like-
maybe every episode of this we have a new silly '90s
Toy.
This show's about
We're
to get
not
real
made
expensive.
of money. Yeah,
also-
what are you
it's-
talking about? We
that's
had to
kind
get the
of a-
Temu version of Beyblades.
This is true.
Budget's been stretched.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well,
it's-
with
it-
Jed here, we're gonna get up in viewership.
Oh
and-
yeah, you'll at least get my sister and my dad and my husband.
Okay,
That's
perfect.
three people.
And you only spoke well of them, which is great.
I did.
Oh,
Oh,
thank
shit!
God.
Did I talk shit about anybody?
You
No.
did, and oh no.
Oh, only like made us feel bad about our musical abilities, but that's it.
Yeah.
but
That's
I
it.
would.
Okay,
that's it.
great.
But that's
That's
par
part
for
of
the
my
course.
purpose.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm big into negative reinforcement.
And that's why Johnny had
like
to beat
breaking.
you.
Yeah.
There is a trick to
You
this.
don't
and you
know
just don't
how
know it
much
yet.
I put into
That's
that.
fine. I accept. I accept it. That's just how it is. I just want to play with it. I can't.
I know.
I'm such a fidgeter. It's like if you put, I'm gonna do this.
It's hard
Put
not
it in
to.
front of me. I'm just gonna like play with it until I break it.
Yeah, I get it. Did you have fun playing with Beyblades?
That was
Yeah,
fun.
yeah. Did you know what was
It
going
was-
to happen?
I had a guess when I saw like the zip tie bit that it was gonna spin, but I
Okay.
honestly was still kind of conceiving of what that would look like.
It's a
weird.
bizarre toy.
Somebody
if you
came up
think
with
about
this,
it,
yeah.
like who came up with this? Like not in a million years would I come with like,
No.
all right, so you got this zip tie and then you pull it and then
Uh-huh.
things spin.
I feel like
It's
it must
very
have
innovative.
started as like an analog version where you just spin it like two
Spin
dreidels,
tops.
just like
Yeah,
two
yeah,
dreidels
yeah.
going at it.
Yeah.
And then someone was like, "Hang on, what if we mechanized these dreidels?"
There's some sort of metaphor there. I don't know what it is. That's good. I like that. I did used to have my dad bought me a toy from his childhood, and it was a spin top. It was like a teardrop shape, and you wrapped a rope around it, and you put the end of the rope on your finger, and you throw it, and you pull back.
Yeah, I
pretty
remember
cool.
that from the movie Titanic.
Oh, really? They played with it in
There was
Titanic?
it was like in the background. There's like a scene where they're
During
like
the sex
walking on
scene,
the
there was a
deck. Yeah,
somebody
they're going at it in the Model T, and there's a boy in the background playing with his little top. It's weird what you could get away with in 1997. It's really weird.
It just zooms in on the boy.
Yeah, James Cameron was a weird guy. People
Yeah.
don't remember that. They think of all of his successes.
Yeah.
It is crazy that like that movie was rated PG-13, but just had a totally nude scene. Like that doesn't fly these
Yeah.
days.
Because they did it artsy. Because he was painting her for art.
Oh,
So then it's
does
okay.
That's how
that
it
fly
works. So
today?
you can see boob if he's painting her. I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know what the rating system. I haven't had to be concerned about a rating.
You're not the
That's
vanguard
true.
of like
Yeah. You don't have
People
children.
with kids,
You don't have
people have
children.
kids that are like 13. They would be the ones to tell you what can their kids see or not see.
Yeah.
I remember in school we couldn't see. You know how sometimes the teacher just wants a day off. They're like, hungover.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they're just like, we're gonna play a movie, and someone brought in the movie Blank Check. I don't know if you remember this movie. It's a young boy who finds a blank check and cashes it for $1 million, and then he basically like makes all of his dreams come true. He buys like a whole house. This is back when $1 million.
That sounds
could buy
great.
A house. And like a bunch of other stuff. And it was like a fun movie, but it was rated PG. And PG sounds good for young
Sure.
people, but it means parental guidance suggested. And the substitute teacher refused to let us watch it because she's like, well, it says PG. We were in the 8th grade. We were probably like 13 years old. And I was like, what? How are you? What is happening?
We actually just reenacted that at the school I work at, and I work in a middle school.
You
so
reenacted that video or the movie Blank Check?
I personally reenacted every character in the movie Blank Check.
Oh my God, amazing.
The whole PG
Yeah,
we need parents.
what you're allowed to
Yeah,
do.
I don't know. Just running into
Brutal.
issues. It's brutal.
Oh my
really blows
God.
because like I just had a friend the other day
Let
that
the
said,
kids play.
no kidding. I had a friend the other day who was like, I could watch anything I wanted as a kid, but my parents said I would then have to explain everything to you in detail. And they were like, I don't want to watch anything with sex in it. I don't want to watch anything. It's just like because they were going to get a really uncomfortable conversation that follows it.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's a good way to just like play mind games. with
Get
your kids and
That's
choose
so
what you
smart.
want.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
I was speaking of like that I cry on the drop of a hat. I'm also like very sensitive about fictional violence. In my head, movie characters, even unnamed background actors, are all people with families and like backstories. And so my parents wouldn't let us watch anything like violent. I mean, they didn't like violent stuff either, so that was fine. But I remember I was probably like 11, and I was at my friend Jesse's house, and his family was one of those like all bets are off, like you can watch anything. And we were watching the movie Terminator, and there's a scene where the Terminator goes and he's like hunting down all of the Sarah Connors, and he goes to the first house, and this random lady answers the door, and she got kids playing in the background, and he goes, Sarah Connor, and she goes, yes, and he pulls out a gun and shoots her in the head, and I literally screamed. And I was like, he just murdered that lady. She has kids. Oh my God, they watched their mom get murdered in front of them. And they all looked around and they were like, oh, we've made a huge mistake. You cannot watch this film.
I like
it's
the-
worse from here.
I like the idea that you wrote fan fiction for that family and the orphanage that all the kids ended up in. And yeah.
I mean, the therapy that those kids would have, they would watch their mom murdered in a random act of violence.
I just like the idea of you watching like an old Jackie Chan film where he kills doesn't kill, but he beats up at
lot of-
least
yeah,
50
yeah,
people per
Like
minute.
knocks out a
Yeah,
security
yeah, and
guard
you're
or
just like
whatever.
the whole time. You can't do it.
There's like I'm okay when it's like a bad guy, like someone who made a choice, who made a bad choice
yeah.
and put themselves in a situation.
But did their families make a bad choice?
I don't think so. The other one that lives rent free in my head is the movie Speed 2 Cruise Control, which is not a movie.
Is that one
anyone's
on a
referenced.
boat?
It's on a boat.
Yeah.
And there's like a random scene where they're all trying to get off the boat, and then the little lifeboat like tilts back, and there's this couple. There's 2 people, and we've never heard from them. We don't know anything about them. They're just background actors who probably made $50 doing this movie, and they tumble off the back and presumably drown because the boat's cruising along.
Yeah.
And I just remember being like, well, that just ruins the whole movie for me. It's
That
like a
ruined your
pointless.
night.
It's not even like a death with like merit, Like in
Yeah.
the original Speed, there's Helen. Sorry guys, I like the movie Speed. It's public
That's
transit.
cool.
Look, it's
Yeah,
public
yeah.
transit. It's actually
It's
from
public transit.
Public transit porn.
But like in the original movie, there's like when Helen dies, it has gravitas. Like you sit with it. It's like this woman, the stairs blow up under her and she falls under the bus.
Yeah.
And you're like, everyone's horrified by it. And in this movie, they fall off the back of the boat and then everything just
there's
resumes
that.
as normal. And I'm like, those people are dead. They thought they were having a nice vacation and now they're dead. And their families have to go fetch. They don't even have a body. Probably not going to find it because they're at the ocean.
It must be so hard for you to like read the news, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Brutal.
reading.
Okay, yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed this, but after Jed lost, there was a lot of tears. It was pretty brutal.
I cried pretty hard.
Yeah.
He's like, that Beyblade could have had
We'll
a
cut that.
family. Okay.
Yeah.
all right.
We'll cut that.
No, it's
part
no.
out.
Leave
It's
it in.
okay.
I want people to know that it's okay. It's okay to empathize with fictional characters, round metal dreidels
That's kind
that
of what
fight.
that's what they want us to do. They want us to empathize with them. I don't think they want us to empathize with the background actors in Speed 2.
Well, they clearly the director didn't, but that's my beef. Is like
But, yes.
there should have been a moment where they were like,
Yeah.
Paula and John. Oh wow.
So are you still like that? Like, what's an immediate cry movie? What do you,
Oh my god, I love a good cry.
or on stage? Like, what's an immediate?
Rent. Rent is one of those musicals where I can like clockwork. There's like 5 different moments where I'm gonna sob. Not to spoil it, but like a major character dies. There's an incredible song, just like drenched in tears. That's like as good as it gets for a good cry.
That's
the
a
final
lot of
song in
song.
Hamilton still makes me cry, even out of context from the show. If I just listen to it, everyone's
Oh.
talking about his legacy. And
Yeah.
singing about telling his story and keeping his story alive, and I just get, I get messy.
When is your Hamilton? Like you got to write one for you. We got to write a play.
Well,
for
I'm
you.
actually working. So I actually wrote a musical in Chicago. I've written a few
Nice.
musicals because
Okay.
again, like I
Oh,
said,
wow.
I started with
You're a
writing
writer.
stuff.
Yeah.
And I wrote a musical called Tapped that was loosely based on the NSA domestic wiretapping scandal, the
okay.
Edward Snowden thing. Except
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
about it was like a love story. It was like a little bit more cheesy.
Snowden finds love.
Yes, except he's a lady, and she falls in love with the guy who's kind of like a Snowden. She works for the NSA, and he's trying to expose the NSA's wiretapping, and they fall. in
Ooh,
love,
that
and then
sounds
she has to deal
fun.
with- It was fun. It was a really good time. I loved the show. I loved everyone we did it with. We won a festival. We did like a whole run at Theater Wit. It was really fun, but it kind of just like reached its end. There wasn't anywhere else for it to go. And so I'm working on a new musical now with Caden, my musical director, who works with me a lot at All Out Comedy. So stay tuned
Amazing.
for that. I mean,
That's
Would it be a
I'm still
comedic
developing.
musical or?
Ish. It. I don't know if I want to like say this on a pod. This is so weird. I'm announcing it here on this podcast.
It's
Yeah.
great.
It's
Just
yes.
right now, it's a
announce.
Word doc in my computer with like 50 pages of notes and like some random song lyrics and like a trajectory for the story. Yeah, it's just about. It's loosely or it's heavily based on the 6 months of the pandemic from the start to when my mom passed away. When our whole family, I came from Chicago, Celine came from Montreal, my sister and my brother-in-law lived there with my mom and my dad. So we all like were
Came
together
here,
and
yeah.
were like up in each other's business for like 6 months.
And it's about that story.
And
of
it's
those
about that
6 months.
story. But
Wow.
it is
That's very
it
personal.
will be funny. It is very personal. I don't normally write personal things, and so that was a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
There was 2 challenges after Tapped, which is number 1, Tapped is like very cheesy rom-com, not very personal.
Uh-huh.
And number 2, it was like too much production wise. Like Act 1 opener is in a Russian airport in Sheremetyevo Airport in Russia. So it's like things that are like harder to stage. You need like a lot of actors to like
Yeah,
fill
yeah,
it
yeah,
in,
yeah.
and you need like
You don't even
need
sound German.
sets, but like there's got to be
Or
it's just like a
Russian,
lot of locations and stuff. And so my challenge after that was I want to write a musical that's set in one location and that's personal. And then after that I was kind of like for a while I couldn't write about that time because it was really sad. And I'm an easy crier, and I still do. Sometimes I'll sit there typing and I'm just like. But that's a good sign because if I'm crying, I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
that means I'm
So
tapping into
invested
something.
into
It
it, yeah.
feels, and then
But
you
it's
know,
fictional.
Edit it later. It's
Based off of.
loosely. I mean, it's still for now at least the outline hews pretty heavily to our reality with a few artistic licenses just to make it a little less real.
Is the
But,
lead
like,
character's name Jed?
Right now it is because I tried changing them. I was like, I'm gonna make me Jeff and Salim will be whatever something else.
Yeah.
And then I kept getting myself confused, and I was like, "This is dumb. Just write it as our names, and then
And
at
you
the
can change
end,
it later.
change the name,
Yeah.
and then it won't
Yeah.
feel weird to you. You'll know exactly
fair.
who they're supposed to
Oh,
be."
that's good.
Are you
So
going to
for now,
care
we're
about the background characters?
This is a show for 6 actors only.
Okay.
6 actors.
All right.
Yeah. No background.
No
characters.
background characters.
background
allowed.
No boat that
characters.
needs to stay above a certain speed.
Nope.
No. Yeah,
It's not. They made a Titanic the musical, which is famously one of the most expensive to stage because you have to
No
have like a
way.
whole multi-level set that like.
Oh
tells-
my
wow.
gosh.
Yeah.
What does like the off-Broadway scene in the Bay look like? I'm not like super familiar.
I have to please answer that question. And Titanic 2 is a thing. If you haven't seen it, it is.
Where they
Awful.
raise it and then is that the one where they tried to bring it back or no?
I don't
They just
remember.
rebuilt it.
No. I think they just like built another one, and of course it ends up sinking. But I've seen so many scenes of this movie, and it's so bad.
Is it
Watch
like
Titanic
intentionally
2.
bad, like The Room?
No,
No.
which is what makes it great.
Have they been featured on How Did That Get Made? The podcast?
Ooh, it may have been.
Because it feels like the kind of thing I would like to listen.
Yeah. I also host here every once in a while a thing called Down in Front, as in like, hey, down in front, and we all just sit around and we just make fun of the movie that we're watching. Last time we did
That's so fun.
Trolls 2, so you definitely come to that. Yeah,
Nice. Hey,
but
that's a musical, right?
Trolls
Doesn't
2?
Trolls have music in it?
no,
Never watched it, but I
maybe
know the
Leprechaun.
songs.
You might be thinking of Leprechaun.
No, Leprechaun's a horror movie.
Yeah, so is Trolls.
Oh,
Trolls? Are we talking about like the animated Trolls movie
That's
that came
where
out?
we're.
Oh
No, this is
Oh.
no. I think it's called
Animated.
Troll 2.
Troll. I'm sorry, singular.
Yeah, dude, you got it
you
mixed
said
up with
that's
the
a horror
DreamWorks
movie-
animation masterpiece.
I was like,
Yeah.
it's a DreamWorks
sinner.
film starring Anna Kendrick. And you're like, yeah, it's a horror movie. You know,
Troll 2.
and not a
Yeah,
musical.
Okay, your
Troll
question.
2.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, the off-Broadway.
Yeah, what does it look
I'll
like?
be honest, I'm not as keyed in. I watch a lot
Okay.
of local theater stuff, but like in terms of getting a show staged, I have very little in, because the thing is, it's like oftentimes the way you get in is like you work at a place or you study in a city and you get connections and stuff, and that just hasn't been a thing I've focused on. So I think if I end up writing this, I'll probably just do like a staged reading with some improvisers I know, and kind of like I don't know where it's gonna go.
Sure.
Like I said, I like to create stuff. I don't always think of like, where does this go next? It's just sort of like, hey, there's a thing. I feel the urge to create it. I have the capacity to create it. Why wouldn't I spend my time doing that rather than watching more Netflix or something else?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah. Anyway, I feel like now that I put it out there, now I'm already feeling the crushing pressure to finish. I'm like, oh god, we've barely.
Dang.
Yeah,
You're-
you have put it out, but it's
Yeah.
like the best type of like push, right? It's
yeah.
like that encouragement that like now everyone in the Bay, because we
true.
get millions of listeners.
Yeah, out
Millions of
July
listeners.
2025, July 22.
Set a
July,
date.
that's hidden. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
that type of
5
pressure is
months.
good though.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's not the crushing.
But I'm so excited to
This is gonna be
to
fun.
see that.
great.
Oh,
I
really-
play. I want to
it
play Jed.
sounds-
I play
one.
Jed.
It sounds sad, and it is sad, but there is a lot of humor in it as well.
Sure, that doesn't
Because
surprise
I
me.
don't
You're
know
very
how to do-
humorous,
yeah, I
so it
don't know
makes
how to
sense.
do
You can have a
pure
lot of
drama.
that.
Okay, you play Jed, and I'll play the pandemic.
Great. There's a part for you. Playing the band.
So excited.
You're just gonna be like
man.
this the whole time.
No dialogue. Oh, actually, it's all dancing, so you should do it.
Yeah,
The
I'll,
pandemic
I'll
just
tap it.
tap dances for an hour and a half straight, and then
And every once in a while, I'll say, "I'm the pandemic."
yes,
Yeah.
perfect. But at random intervals, and like to throw off the other actors.
Yes,
don't
yeah.
do it at any regular
Like in the
time.
middle of a real serious scene.
Yeah, someone's like, and that's why I'm the pandemic. Tip tap, tip tap, tip tip tap.
Right when it gets a little serious, like that's when we bring in the comedy.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's it. That's my favorite thing in the world to do when I write, because you can't really do. You can do it in improv, but it's more. You just got to discover it.
Yeah.
Is that build to a really big emotional moment and then undercut it with just the fucking hilarious joke, and the joke lands so much better because you already put people in this heightened emotional state. The unexpectedness of it is just. Ooh.
So that's generally how you go about your comedic writing.
Not all of it, but
Okay.
like there's moments where that can happen, and those are like when I think back of things where I'm like, I'm proud that I wrote that. That was not improv. This was like a thing I wrote on paper. We did it in person. It got a really emotional response and then a really huge laugh. That's like such an exciting feeling because it's a knife's edge. It's like improv. It's like
Yeah.
you're always teetering on that knife's edge of like,
I love when
it could fail, but also
Yeah.
it could be the funniest thing
Yeah.
someone sees today.
when you have multiple emotions in one thing. That's the best. It's a
Yeah.
bit of a roller coaster. It always brings me back to my friend in high school. We were both in high school, and she's like, "Hey, I had like a weird night last night." I was like, "Why?" She's like, "I was sitting at dinner with my family. My brother's saying something so funny. I started laughing so hard. I was having such a good time." And then I laughed so hard that I was like, I think I started to choke on my food. So I started running to the bathroom, and I ended up throwing up all of the food all over the ground, all over the carpet. And then her dad starts yelling at her and like, clean it up. And so she's crying on the ground, like, and I was like, man, you went through a lot of things. Like, you're laughing, and then like you almost died, and now
That's
you're
all of
crying.
the
and-
emotions.
yeah, it's too many. I liked it though.
I love
That's
it.
healthy, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just get it all in one go so you can stuff all the other emotions.
I think,
down.
and I don't know, you both do comedy, so I certainly do this quite a lot. Where if somebody's having a hard time, I always try to break it with levity. I'm always like try to like crack a joke or something, and then they're like, "This is really serious. Why are you making fun of me or it or whatever?" And I'm like, "Whoops."
Yeah.
That's just how I deal with life.
That's where I feel like the 1-2 punch can be great. Like first
Yeah.
you let them be heard. You go like, I'm really so sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
That's terrible. And then once there's been like a moment, then it's like, now there's an opening. Should you want to make a joke? Kind of
Okay.
thing. If you
I
can
just need to
find that
time it out
balance,
better, is what you're saying.
it's
Yeah.
just better timing. That's it. Comedy's all in the timing.
It's all about the delivery and timing.
But yeah, that's very fair. I also feel that instinct. A
You
lot,
do that
to be
too?
Like, yeah, to just want to crack a joke, and I have to be like, okay, right.
Shove
Put
it
yourself
down.
in their head. Like
Shove the joke.
they're not ready for the joke yet. Hold it. Hold
Hold
it.
it.
Hold
Tease
it.
them a little.
Yeah.
Give them
Give 'em a
empathy.
teaser?
Yeah, give 'em a
Give them a
tease.
little empathy. Give them a little emotional and empathetic. Like, hey,
Oh.
it's a little,
Show a little skin.
show a little skin. Just a metaphor, emotional. It's just-
Emotional skin.
Just that clavicle. Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, just like a grieving clavicle.
Uh-huh.
And then once they're there, boom.
You fucking tear the whole thing off.
tear it open.
Incredibly
Yeah,
sad.
yeah.
Incredibly
Do you do
sad.
that, Johnny? You don't. Are you breaking?
No,
up?
but I'm learning so much, and
Okay.
I'm going to apply it to everything that I do, comedy or not,
Yeah, yeah,
moving
yeah.
forward.
Yeah.
Jed, anything to plug?
Yeah.
Anything you got going on in February? Anything else that you're working on that you'd like
sure,
to
that-
share to the
that
world?
musical that comes
Yeah.
out in June.
Oh my
Yeah, we got a
Gotcha.
musical. Moved up to June from July.
Yeah,
June,
Jesus.
June,
Okay.
June
Well,
1.
it's moving.
June 1.
going to be June 1.
June 1.
Practically May. Great. This is going very well. Sweat drops. What do I have to promote? Knockoff Broadway is my the improv musical that I'm a part of. What an incredible team. I'm so lucky to have them.
So good. They're so good.
It's so fun. We do a full Broadway-style improvised musical. It's an hour long every second and fourth Saturday of the month at 9 o'clock at All Out Comedy. You can check us out at knockoffbroadway.com.
Downtown Oakland. Downtown Oakland.
Check us out at
Uptown Oakland.
knockoffbroadway.com in Uptown Oakland. Technically Kono.
Koreatown, Oakland.
Yeah, Kono is the official designation. Yeah. And then other things. The Bay Area Musical Improv Festival is coming back October 22nd to the 26th, 2025. So fourth weekend in October. Come check it out. If you have a musical improv team or you don't have one, get one together in the next 8 months and submit.
This podcast comes out after October, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, that's good though, because that gives me a whole nother year for my
Yeah.
musical. So it's actually
Our editing time is 9 months.
Wow. That sounds like you're on my timeline for writing and editing. That's great.
For your next musical coming out in May.
Perfect. Coming out in, it would moved up to May already,
Yeah.
huh? Okay, great. Went from July to June to May. This is great. It's just an avalanche coming towards me. I don't think I have anything else.
Your coaching teams?
I coach a lot of teams. They're great. Riot, the improvised rock opera, performs every first Sunday of the month at 7. They're awesome. We just had a rehearsal earlier today. They're so much fun. What a good group. It's just such a great community. Come out to a jam sometime. We host monthly musical improv jams at All Out Comedy every third Saturday of the month, 5 to 7. Y'all are welcome to come. No experience necessary. Every jam,
I'll bring my tap dance
like
shoes.
a handful of people who've never done musical improv. Sometimes you get someone who's like, I've never done improv before. And I'm like, power to you for making that bold choice. But it's fun because we divide the team so that there's always like a mix of experienced and lesser experienced folks. So there's always like more experienced folks who can help kind of like help out a little bit, set a chorus for you, make sure that we're like all invited on stage and feeling comfy and stuff. I play as
Maybe
well.
I'll do. That's a good way to start.
It's really, really fun. Third Saturdays of the month, 5 to 7, at alloutcomedytheater.com.
.com.
Nailed it.
.com.
Yeah.
Alloutcomedytheater.com.
Yeah. I think it's alloutcomedy.com, but whatever.
Alloutcomedy.com.
I think it's just allout.com.
Allout.co.uk. all.encarta.net.
.ai. All right. Thank you so much, Jed.
Yeah.
Yay, thank
Lovely
you.
to
Let her
do
rip.
this. Oh, thank God. I've been
Vanguard.
holding it in. I've been holding it in the whole time.
Yeah.
Can I do it now?
Yes.
Yes. All right, this has been Bay Waves.
It's been Bay Way.
Bay Waves.
Bay Waves. Fun, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.